Welcome back, everyone. This is Monster Handlers Patt and Zack from Division VI of the Vision Project.
It's been quite some time, hasn't it?
We're sorry for our hiatus, but ever since the events of Ingivening, we haven't been able to re-establish a consistent connection to the Core's world.
Considering this isn't the first time we've lost connection to the Core world, it has been a little difficult to get the higher-ups to repair everything quickly.
But we've managed to scrounge enough together to get back to business.
So strap in, we've got a lot to catch y'all up on. Leading up to Ingivening, we got a permanent camera set up to keep an eye on the Fruity Fields monsters. That camera has since needed to be replaced.
It seems all the demon anti-energy does not mix very well with transdimensional signal transfer.
It was fun seeing all the preparations for the Ingivening feast, but the feast itself, what a day that was.
Luckily, we recovered the recordings of what happened that day. You can go watch that video yourself in your own time. The big things that happened, though, were Nurion seemingly opening a mysterious pink portal that took him and Rover.
Megalegrius attacking and mauling a bunch of cores, even hitting two of them with blasts of unknown energy that also made them disappear.
And Fruity Fields' nocturnal and terrestrial monsters revealing themselves and having a bit of a scuffle.
This time, ironically, the terrestrial monster was in the wrong.
Grumbledore assumed he would be able to permanently close the pink portal by hitting it with lightning, despite Sournote already having things handled, which led to the disastrous events of Ingivening.
Because of the massive surge of demon-crazy mystery doodah energy that Grumbledore's mishap caused, our brand new Fruity Fields camera was taken offline.
For months we tried to reconnect with the monsters, but most of them were forced to stay on Fruity Fields, and unfortunately, with no one maintaining it, we lost contact with the tropical camera.
A hurricane or something swooped by and the camera was lost to the ocean. It's a shame too, apparently we've missed out on a holiday event.
We'll get to more information about other holidays later. Let's get back to Ingivening.
Oh yeah, back on the topic of the missing monsters, as Pat said, Nurion and Rover went to the pink portal. But the crazy part is, after we reviewed the footage, we noticed the other two monsters disappeared in a completely different portal.
On top of that, Demelin and Pesticide, while attempting to fight off the enraged Megalegrius...
Sorry to cut you off, but remember, the Fruities told us that isn't the true Megalegrius.
My bad. Well, after they both attempted to fight off whatever that thing was, they seemingly transformed and then got sucked into the blue portal.
Pesticide's new form is so cool looking. It's a shame Demelin transformed off camera. But some monsters have mentioned their new form resembling Puppet Maestro?
Well, that catches us up with what happened during Ingivening. We can now discuss some of the more recent happenings from around the Core. Now that we have re-established a camera in Fruity Fields, we've been catching up with a lot of the monsters.
A good handful of monsters have been studying the pink portal. Gotoot and Brain Food have been trying to figure out if the portal was safe to enter, so they can follow after and find Nurion and Ruverb, with some occasional help from Tachisoap.
Tachisoap has been a little preoccupied, however. We'll get to that later. Interestingly, though, Megalegrius, despite it no longer being anywhere near Ingivening, is able to just barely wake up enough to sing along to the Demonverse.
The Fruities are disappointed that the statue isn't the real Megalegrius, but are glad to get to play along with some form of their king.
The Megalegrius on Fruity Fields is simply just a manifestation of the festivities brought to life through all the strange energies that occurred during the feast.
Those being memory, fruity, anti-bizarro energy, holiday energy, and even seemingly the lightning from Grumbledore.
I have my theories about the electricity of this world, but I need Grumbledore to agree to do more tests first. Speaking of vague and unknown aspects of this world, time has seemingly been very gradually slowing down, especially around the pink portal. Me and Tachisoap worked together and found out that a second in their world has become 42 milliseconds longer, and that number has been gradually increasing over time.
Their quote-unquote tests are just them both starting stopwatches at the same time.
Well, it's still scientific. I even took into account the camera latency.
Good for you, bud. Back to interesting news. It turns out that Sournote is very friendly and cooperative for a nocturnal monster. They've both done plenty of interviews with us, and have agreed to watch over the throne and protect it with its anti-hexadent seal, just to ensure the statue doesn't wake up fully again.
Back to bad news. Sournote is now no longer capable of sealing up the memory portal. They said something about how the strong memory energy coming from the portal is counteracting his anti-hexadents. Interesting.
But still, stay positive. At least we have such a strong anti-hexadent user on our side.
Kind of hard too, considering a lot of this is bad news. Well, Zoot and all the other monsters that were on Tropical decided to make their way over here shortly after Gotoot left. The ship was built by Tchistatron with help from Cornuslapia and Chimples.
I'm getting deja vu.
Well, it's different than last time. Tachisoap made the last one, and this was made in only a few hours.
Yeah, it isn't the best ship. It was completely destroyed on impact with the energy blast from Megaligrius. They couldn't even take off with it the help from Phoenixus to place the ship a couple hundred feet in the air. Flames coming out the back weren't even because the thruster was working. It just blew up and caught fire as soon as they turned it on.
Speaking of Phoenixus, they got their frame back. Turns out that sneaky Crotery stole it.
And they were seemingly trying to figure out how to use it?
It's a shame that Crotery seems to be devious. They're significantly more malicious than the furries ever were. All they wanted to do was bring their king back. But Crotery seems to want to try to hinder the cores and do whatever they're trying to accomplish.
We haven't broken it to the cores yet, because they've been through so much already.
Actually, wait. Tchistatron decided to stay behind to protect the Decodar from Crotery.
Oh yeah, and thankfully Phoenixus said they would watch over them for us, until we reestablish connection with Tropical.
On the subject of Tchistatron, Tachisoap hasn't been doing great.
They've gone into a bit of a crazed work frenzy.
Tachisoap has been desperately working on finding his creator again, but without his equipment from the Shack of Brass, he hasn't made much progress.
But he has made great progress in making copies of those memory chips. This seems to have taken his mind off of fixing the skyship again, so that he can check on the progress of the Tchistatron tape.
Last we saw, it was over halfway done, so expect the video for that sometime in the future.
Let's see here. Displayer and Gotoot have been working together again.
Gotoot's paranoia has increased again with the disappearance of 1, his surrogate son, 2, his close friend Nerion, 3, the ambassador that brought him the most paranoia of his life up until now, and 4, one of his strongest allies in his quote-unquote lifeline.
But he's been keeping himself preoccupied. When Scamly was scanned with the scanner, tongue twister. When they were scanned, a massive amount of junk files turned up.
Zack didn't quite emphasize it enough. He means there were a lot of files. More than we thought was possible to store on any wired monster, which is interesting considering Scamlet does not contain the memory element. That's probably why most of these files were corrupted beyond repair, and,
Pat, stay focused.
Right, sorry. When Displayer downloaded some of those files back on Tropical, they sent a few to the monsters that were in deep space at the time.
And Redis showed a great deal of interest in them. They fixed up a few of the files and found a good bit of valuable information in them.
To Gotoot's dismay, nothing relating to the Pink Portal has been found yet, but a lot of this information will be amazing for our documentation. There's one file we found that is very interesting, but we can't easily send them to our world just yet.
Just as a little hint, and don't tell Tachisoap I told you this. What we found seems to be related to the tapes, logs, whatever they are.
Still on the topic of things found in Scamly's files, Rediston covered a bunch of information relating to how holidays and the holiday monsters work. Turns out there was a holiday called Great Sail Away that happened on Tropical that we sadly missed.
Phoenixus said that all that happened was some monster arrived and asked for money until they disappeared the next day. If you ask me, it sounds a lot like some of the execs at Vision.
There was also some info on a holiday relating to astrology that happens during the annual meteor shower. One's supposed to be coming up, but considering no holiday monster arrived during last cycle's meteor shower, I doubt anything will happen.
We also learned a lot about the history of Sunnyside Hyde.
On the topic of Sunnyside Hyde, this much told us that they returned to Life Landscape finding it covered in eggs yet again. They decided to decorate the place themselves, claiming it was sad to see Sunnyside Hyde uncelebrated.
And good news for Zoot, the smudge said that Pochix has stayed in hibernation this cycle.
Bad news for Zoot. Something new revealed itself, which we'll show in an upcoming video. Something quite interesting.
That was a lot, but I think that's everything.
Yep, glad to have that over with.
Well, we're all wrapped up.
Yeah, I gotta get to fixing up that video for WomaVision that DiscPlayer helped us make.
Oh yeah, forgot Vision was hosting another one of those. Really glad DiscPlayer helped, but what do you mean fixing up?
Yeah, when I downloaded it from them, it was a little messed up, and it has a weird glitch towards the end. They also somehow forgot what Trip Deep Space was called, but I don't really feel like fixing it. I'll probably just upload it as it is.
Not like we get paid enough to care. Well, that's all, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, this was Monster Handler Pat.
And Zack. Bye!
Bye.